it's Susan with SusanAnyway.com. A metal egg basket that you may remember from a video I made of my trip to an antique mall in North Carolina. And I really loved this basket, but it was very rusty. So I took it outside and I sprayed it with polyurethane. And I ended up spraying it 3 times because it was really hard to tell if the spray was actually coating everything, because the spray was clear and it was dark a little bit where I was working, but it definitely worked, and I will show you. Okay, so here it is, and what's nice is that it didn't take away at all from the rustiness of the piece, which was something I really liked. I didn't want to spray paint it a different color. I wanted it to be this rusty kind of reddish brown color. So it did put a little bit of a shine on it. I also thought it might be nice just as another layer of protection and to add a little bit of texture to it to make a liner. I have never done this before, but I left 2 little slits for the handle, and one slit was where I joined the fabrics, and then another one I cut it and then just used a zigzag stitch to keep it from fraying. I did want a little bit of fray. I love that rustic look, and this fits perfectly with how I'm going to be using it. But if you didn't want to fray, you could put the zigzag seam, just put it right over the very edge of the fabric, and then you wouldn't get the fraying. And I got pretty close to the edge. The other thing I did, I first cut out one round piece to go in the bottom. And once I had that cut out, then I measured around the top of the basket. Just measure from side to side. If your basket isn't perfectly circular like mine isn't, you would just measure at the widest part. And you take that measurement and you multiply it by pi. Do you remember pi, 3.14 in elementary school? So mine was, I think it was 14 inches across times pi, and then I added another couple of inches just to be on the safe side and to give me a little room for seam allowance. So I ended up with 45 inches, the height of the fabric. I just took my measuring tape and went up and over the side, and I got 15 inches. Actually did 2 pieces just to give it a little bit more structure. Was 45 inches wide by 15 inches tall. So I had a circular piece at the bottom, and then I had a second piece that went all the way around. And this is how I did it. It's not fancy, but it works, and I didn't have to sit there at the sewing machine very long. If you were going for a more finished and a less rustic look, this is not how you want to go about doing this. But in my case, it worked out fine. So I put the bottom round piece of the fabric down in the basket, and then I took my second piece that was 45 inches by 15 inches and I stuck it in there with the bottom and pinned it in place. And the way that I did that left some extra fabric down at the bottom, and I just made pleats out of those. I didn't try to ease it in or do anything fancy. I just wanted something quick and simple, and I just pleated where I had extra fabric, because this basket obviously is bigger at the top than it is at the bottom. It's kind of conical, right? It goes in, and so when it does that, you're gonna have extra fabric at the bottom, and you can see like there's huge pleats, like it's very messy. I'm totally fine with that. Imperfect things have beauty too. So I guess the difficulty in this is because it's wire, you can see this inside and out. So I just try to get it where it looks nice and neat as much as I can. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little glimpse into how this looks, and you can see like it's totally not perfect, but it works. And I didn't even try to, I just left raw edges in here. I left raw edges here, but I really love the way it turned out, actually. I love having a little bit of the contrast of this fabric inside the basket, because you can really see the wire in a way that you couldn't see it before. And I think it's gonna look perfect by our fireplace. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. So yeah, that's cute. Cute, cute. And look, this is just drop cloth material. So everything is pretty humble, nothing fancy, but it looks good. Okay, so these are some patterns for gift tags. You could use them if you want to print out on cardstock, or if you're like me, you can use them to cut it out on fabric and make these. They'll be slightly smaller because I would use like a 1/4 inch seam allowance and turn them, but they will still be a nice big size. So let's go. Okay, so I am going to cut out, this is drop cloth material that you can get at Harbor Freight, or I'll link to some on Amazon, but it's a nice neutral material. If you this is what I use to make the lining of my little metal basket, so I'm going to use this for my tag. So what I'll do is take this fabric and fold it over. Let's see, is that the right size? Yeah, so that's right. I'm just gonna give it a press right along the edge and then pin it in place, and then I'm gonna cut this out so I'll have 2 pieces of fabric that are connected at the bottom. And one more thing that I forgot to mention, I also am adding, this is called fusible fleece. I'll have a link to it for Amazon in my description, in my YouTube description. But I like to put a little bit of this in between. It adds a little body, and it helps give this fabric gift tag a nice shape. Okay, so I just clipped and pinned this together, all 3 pieces together, and now I'm going to cut it out. Okay, I'm going to cut this that's going in the middle, this fusible fleece. I'm going to trim it just a little bit smaller than the pieces of fabric, and that way when I turn it, it's not going to be in the way at all. I'm going to press this, and when I press this fleece, I just leave my iron on there for 5 or 6 seconds, and I'm definitely pushing down a little bit harder than I would if I was just normally pressing like clothes or other things. Okay, so now this is done, and you can see we're looking at basically the inside of the gift tag. So now we need to turn it so that we can have the outside of the gift tag facing out. Okay, so now that it's turned, we still have this raw edge that we're gonna press in, and then when we top stitch, it'll close this. And when you iron something like this that you have turned, you just want to get the seams to match up just as well as you can. It's okay if it's not perfect, but the crisper the better. And now I'm going to turn this. The only thing about drop cloth is it definitely will fray on you. So here I'm just turning this with my finger and pressing it down in so that when we stitch this, you won't see, all of your raw edges will be nice and closed up. Okay, so this is a piece of heat transfer vinyl, and I like to use, when I'm going on fabric, for some things I like to use the flocked heat transfer vinyl. I'll put a link in the description, but it's just got a little bit more structure, and it doesn't have the shine of smooth heat transfer vinyl. The downside of it is that it's kind of, let's see if I can show you. Oh, you can't really see it here. I might be able to show you afterwards, but it's not quite like velvet. It's just fuzzy, and so it will pick up lint and things like that. And I've used white flocked vinyl, and I would not recommend that because it gets dirty really quick. So let's cut this out. I'm just gonna peel it off, and then I'm gonna transfer it onto my tag that I made. And the reason I'm taping it to my cutting mat is because this cutting mat, as you can probably tell, is very dirty and old, and this flocked heat transfer vinyl is thick and it can shift around on you, which is can always be frustrating if that happens. Okay, so we have it cut out, and now we're going to transfer it to our little tag. Okay, and I don't know if you can see, I poked a tiny hole in here, and then I just stitched around the edge to make almost like a buttonhole to keep these edges from fraying. Sorry. I'll try to, so there's a hole. Now let's see if we can get some jute through it. I'm just gonna double it over and see if it'll poke through without any assistance. I may need a needle or a toothpick or something to push it through. Let me see if I can make this hole just a little bit wider. I would definitely recommend stitching around where you've made your hole, because otherwise it'll fray, which isn't the end of the world, but I don't know. If you can avoid it, it's nice. Oh my gosh, it does not want to go through. They're fighting. Me and the jute. Oh, I think I see it. Come on through, buddy. Come on. Maybe I should just do this part. Maybe I should make a bigger hole. Ugh, you can't even see it, can you? Oh, wait, look. Okay, that's good, but I want it doubled. So I need to push another piece through. Let's see if this guy will go. Oh yeah, he's like, no problem. All right, so now I'm just gonna run these two pieces from the back through the little loop I have made. Ta-da! Now I'm gonna go see how it looks on my basket. And I leave tons of extra jute twine so that I can cut the ends once I have it where I want it. Okay, so here we have our little blanket basket. And